What's up, guys? Welcome to the Second Take. Some people say the West Coast is the best coast, but we like to say the Second Take is the best take. I'm Zach.
I'm Jonah.
So today we're going to talk mostly about the NBA playoffs and sprinkle in a little bit of NHL since we've had a good week of playoffs so far. So in the week in review, the Warriors got their 73rd win. Steph hit 402 threes along the way, dropped 46 points in 30 minutes in the final game of the season. Then had 24 in the first half of Game 1 against the Rockets, ended up spraining his ankle, sitting out Game 2, and of course the Warriors still won, so they're up 2-0 in that series. Kobe's arms shockingly fell off after taking 50 shots and scoring 60 points in his final game. The Rams traded everything they ever had to get the first pick in the NFL draft. And close to our hearts, the Caps and Isles are both leading their series. And then we have mayhem about to ensue for the next month in sports with the playoffs getting red hot. So to start with the NHL, what's happened in the playoffs so far? It's pretty much gone as we expected, don't you think, Jonah?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been impressed with the Sharks and the Blues, two teams that I had in the first round in the West that are leading their series right now. The Sharks lost in overtime to the Kings last night. I, of course, stayed up till 1:30 a.m. to watch the end of that game, which I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, overall, nothing too shocking in the NHL so far. I know your Caps are up 3-0 on the Flyers, and you're going to want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely been nice to watch. But I think like you said, Sharks and Blues, those two series have been pretty entertaining, even though the Sharks stole 2 out of LA. But they've been fast-paced and back and forth, and it's been good hockey to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the East, no surprises really there. Really just the home teams winning, except for your Isles stealing one in Florida.
Yep. I was pretty happy about that. We won an OT back in Brooklyn, and we actually don't play again until tomorrow night. So they're giving us a couple of days off because we played a back-to-back games 1 and 2. So that should be an interesting series. Islanders are up 2-1 with home ice, so it's looking pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely something to be happy for. Kind of wish I got to see you in the second round instead of the Penguins or Rangers, but I'll be happy either way.
I'm kind of glad I don't get to see you in the second round, considering how you've looked so far. But
So, speaking of the Capitals series, the Philadelphia perennial losers, as I like to call them, which goes for every single sport and anywhere in Philly, they've really just been a class act like they are in every sport. You know, getting 5-minute majors left and right for boarding, throwing people's heads into walls, throwing wristbands onto the ice, and won't stop, to the point where the PA announcer literally has to say, "Can you please act classy for once, Philly?" So that's Philadelphia for you. Yeah, not a big fan.
yeah, I mean, even there was a point when they had like at center ice, they were talking like the captains or whatever, team representatives, and like Ovi was standing there with Simmons.
Yep.
Like they weren't like fighting or anything, but like when even Wayne Simmons is telling a crowd to calm down, then the crowd probably has to calm down.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
it's just so funny because Wayne Simmons is standing there like, guys, come on, guys.
Someone who is the instigator in almost every brawl is telling other people to calm down.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just worried that the Capitals are going to win the next game and then not be able to make it out of Philly because they're going to slash the tires on the bus or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually rule it out. The Philly fans don't have a lot to root for lately. The Eagles are a mess. The Sixers
are
the Sixers.
Yeah.
The Phillies are rebuilding. So
I don't think it can get much worse for them.
There's just not a lot for them to cheer for. This is likely their only playoff team.
Doesn't bother me.
You agree with us about the Eagles.
Yeah.
So.
Doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah. Neither of us are big fans of the Philly teams in general.
Yeah.
That's one thing we do agree on.
Definitely. All right, so then we'll get more into the NHL next week when it starts to get towards the second round and things start to heat up a little bit more. But we're going to get into the NBA this week, and we're going to start talking about my Miami Heat, who a lot of people say have the best chance to dethrone the King. Jonah, what do you think about that?
I would agree with that assessment. There's nobody I love in the Eastern Conference. Like, last week on the podcast, I picked the Cavs to advance out of the East kind of by default. And I still think they probably will, but they didn't look dominant or anything against Detroit, and they're certainly beatable. And I think out of all the other playoff teams in the East, I think Miami looked the best in their first game, and I think overall have the best shot of beating them. I mean, I know Toronto's up there, but they're doing their thing where they have a shaky first-round series.
Yeah, no.
So
definitely.
they're not really inspiring a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. It's kind of like the Cavs are 1, and then there's a lot of teams that are like 2, 2A, 2B, 2C in the East. I feel like everyone like underneath the Cavs are relatively the same.
Yeah, I mean, right. I think there was a big battle for the 3 through 6 seeds, and the Raptors were ahead of those guys in games, but I think in terms of team quality, they're roughly similar. I think teams 2 through 6 are like generally pretty similar teams.
Yeah.
Not in terms of style, but just in terms of like what chance they have to beat Cleveland.
Yeah, so I mean, Miami looked real good game 1. They shot 64% from the field, which Miami has been very bad with offense.
Right, I mean they're not going to shoot 64% from the field every game.
Yeah.
But
But they actually set an NBA record pre-All-Star break. They were averaging 98 points a game, or 96, sorry. Then post-All-Star break, they averaged 107. That's without Chris Bosh. So that was the largest increase from the first half to the second half of the season in NBA history for a team.
Wow.
So that's coming from their real fast-paced tempo that they picked up, which Goran Dragic thrived in Phoenix. And then Wade somehow managed to play in 73 games this year, which is like his record for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think this team certainly has more talent than the teams around them. I hadn't seen a whole lot of Justice Winslow this season. I'd seen him play a couple times, but he's a lockdown defender.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna, in a couple of years, once he starts getting recognized, he'll be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year all the time.
Like, the Celtics tried real hard to trade up with Charlotte to get Winslow ahead of Miami, and Charlotte turned down their trade and then took Frank Kaminsky, which is kind of odd. But, I mean, Frank Kaminsky, I think, is a solid NBA role player. He can do a lot of things, but, like, he's not like Justice Winslow.
Yeah, I think for Justice, though, this was, I mean, going to Boston would have been okay, too, but coming to Miami was, like, the best thing that could have happened to him because he doesn't have the offensive game yet to go to a team and, like, just need to be a 15-point-a-night kind of guy. He'd much rather come to Miami, just learn how to be an NBA player, play lockdown D, hustle, get rebounds, get assists, do everything that's dirty that star players don't necessarily want to do, and then he'll develop. He'll be like a Kawhi Leonard, exactly what Kawhi did in San Antonio.
Well, I mean, Kawhi's one of like the best 3 players.
Oh yeah,
in the league, so.
I know, but he's had a couple years on Justice. I'm not saying Justice is going to be Kawhi Leonard, but he has a chance.
No, I mean he's certainly a similar type of player. He's not as good a shooter, obviously, but
yeah. He did shoot like 44% last year at Duke, though. Surprisingly, I don't know how.
I think he can certainly be a poor man's Kawhi Leonard, and that's nothing to be ashamed of at all.
Seriously. And then you have Hassan Whiteside, who's just been so dominant, and I think we talked about this when the Heat were playing, but he has Chris Bosh, Juwan Howard, Alonzo Mourning, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Dwayne Wade, some of the highest class act kind of guys in the NBA. And Hassan has always had attitude problems, so that's really helped him. And he's turned around big time. And that money that was questionable at the beginning of the year is coming his way, and it's coming fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only teams that had the infrastructure to turn Hassan Whiteside into a useful player are Miami and probably San Antonio.
Yeah.
And so obviously it's lucky for him that he ended up where he is, but the talent was there all along. So like, when he kind of came out of nowhere last year, like the first time I saw him in a game and he was having like 7 blocks, and I'm like, who is this guy, Hassan Whiteside? He's like 26. He went to like Marshall. Like he was not a well-known prospect or anything. He just came out of nowhere. And so I think that speaks a lot to like how strong of an organization he has.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he got relegated to a bench role at the beginning of this, or at the middle of this year, and he was averaging like 18 and 15 off the bench in like 25 minutes of action. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I'm looking at his Wikipedia page right now and seeing, like, he was a second-round pick for the Kings, and then in 2010, and he was on their roster for a couple of years. And then he was in the D-League for a few years, and then he was playing, he played in Lebanon, and he played in China, and then he went back to the D-League, and now, like, he led the league in blocks this year. So, like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool story.
He almost averaged 4 blocks a game, which is also pretty amazing. But, I mean, as we said with his attitude problems, starting out in Sacramento and learning underneath DeMarcus Cousins probably didn't have the greatest effect on him.
No, probably not. I mean, right. You have to have the right situation for a guy like this. So, like, he's a free agent this summer, right?
Yep.
So, I'm not that optimistic. Like, if I were a team other than Miami, I'd be really hesitant to sign him. Because
Yeah.
I think he needs a certain structure around him.
Yeah, but
If I'm Miami, I'm happy to re-sign him. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like that kind of situation.
But you know that GMs are gonna think like, oh, we have what that he needs in place to make him successful.
Right,
and-
every GM thinks they
Yeah.
have what's in place to make every guy successful.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But like, if he ever went to a team like the Cavs with just complete disorder, I think he would be a shell of himself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, our feelings on the chemistry situation in Cleveland are well documented.
Yes.
But,
Check last week's.
oh, yeah. That team, and, like, yeah, they pulled it out against Detroit. But, like, that game got me thinking Detroit's definitely going to steal one, probably 2 games in that series.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think the Cavs played well, but you saw that they just aren't together mentally, defensively, to just, I mean, they're far better than the Pistons, and they should have no problem stopping Reggie Jackson, but they have a lot of problems stopping Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the person who stopped Reggie Jackson the most in that game was Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, just by getting technical fouls with 4 minutes left for no reason and just acting childish like he is. And Andre Drummond literally did whatever he wanted in that game, so.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Drummond is, I mean, I'm a massive Andre Drummond fan. Like,
Yeah.
I said that before. He's like, if you wanted to draw an NBA center just physically, it would look like Andre Drummond. But obviously he can't shoot free throws, so like that's a problem, and that's why he's getting sat for Aaron Baines at the end of close games.
Yeah, which is just really unfortunate.
Which you can't be like an all-star if you're getting benched for Aaron Baines in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, I think the problem with the Cavs, like I was watching that game and like, yes, they played well overall, and like their offense seemed to be clicking at times, but there were lots of offensive possessions where there was just a lot of standing around, and that happens on defense too. Like they still have this problem where they're just playing like a lot of iso ball offense, and I don't know, like, yeah, you can beat the Pistons with that, you can probably beat the Hawks with that, but can you beat the Warriors with that? Like, definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, Curry had 30, LeBron had like 25, Kevin Love had like 28, so I mean, they scored, but I get what you're saying, it didn't like look as you would hope an NBA offense would look. Like, it's nowhere near the Warriors, but who is going to be near the Warriors?
Right, the Warriors are like a machine. I don't know, they're like greater than the sum of their parts, I guess.
Yeah.
And the Cavs has some really great parts, and the sum of their parts is really
LeBron.
good, but they're not greater than that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because they don't like make each other better.
Yeah. But, I mean, Jonah and I went absolutely off on LeBron James last week and about his defense and his lack of leadership and the way he carried himself on the court. And I think he listened to the podcast because he definitely changed that.
I'm sure he did. LeBron, if you're listening to this one, good job.
Yeah, he definitely changed. And actually, it reminded me a little bit of Miami, seeing him be a leader on the court, which is what the Cavs desperately need. Played defense. I remember the old LeBron that used to, when Heat played the Thunder, in the postseason in the NBA Finals, LeBron locked down Kevin Durant, and they went back and forth, and that's what I want to see out of LeBron. I don't want to see him standing in the corner guarding Stanley Johnson, who can't shoot threes, and not taking the challenge of trying to guard Reggie Jackson or something like that, like he always used to.
Right, yeah, I mean, he should be guarding the team's best player. Like,
He's,
I don't know why
he's
you're putting
6'8", 265, and you're trying to tell me he can't stop Reggie Jackson. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, like, fine, you can put him on Shumpert on him. Like Shump's a good defender,
Yeah.
but he's not LeBron James. Like, I don't know, if LeBron is giving max effort, which we have seen before, but we have not seen this season, like, I think he really has the potential to be the best defensive player in the game.
I agree, for sure.
I mean, he made 5 first-team NBA All-Defenses, like, in a row from 09 to 13.
It's just a matter of whether or not he wants to exert the effort, and he has chosen not to for a couple of years now.
Right, and maybe it's maybe it's like a conscious decision. He wants to save himself for the finals because he thinks
It could even just be a flat-out age thing.
Right. No, yeah, it could be that. I mean, he's 31 now. Like, he's not so young anymore.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Actually, while we're talking about the Heat for a second,
Yeah.
can we talk about how awful their new uniforms are?
Do you have to bring me down when we were just so high?
I mean, they're not super new, I guess, but they are super bad.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they went for like a slight retro style for a modern day new uniform.
They're like asymmetrical, and the number on the jersey is above the word Miami. It's like,
listen, we're making room for the sponsorship sign for next year, okay?
That's true, yeah.
Which I'm not very excited about, but whatever.
It is certainly better than what OKC wore in Game 1, like those shirt jerseys with the logo on the front. Those are god awful.
Well, LeBron would rip the sleeves right off, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So just a little bridge between the Cavs and the Heat. Joe Johnson was bought out by the Nets. Had the option between essentially those two teams. That was what he was down to. Chris Bosh ended up not playing because of blood clots again. Let's hope he gets healthy soon. Joe Johnson chooses Miami because he sees the up-tempo style. Thought it would be a great place to live. No kidding, it's South Beach, Miami. And now Miami has been incredibly better. And Joe Johnson's actually playing really well like he used to 5 years ago.
Yeah. I was really, I don't know, like I was watching the game, the Heat Bobcats game. Bobcats, Jesus Christ.
Wow, Jonah.
Yeah, the Heat Hornets game. And I was thinking, oh my god, Joe Johnson's on the team. I totally forgot. And he can still really score. Like, and I think he might have been a missing piece for Miami.
Yeah, and they're playing a small ball lineup with Luol Deng at the 4, who just dropped 31 on his 31st birthday. So that was pretty impressive to see. But a Dookie in the NBA, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Miami is the Duke Major League affiliate, I guess, because we have Luol Deng, Duke, we have Josh McRoberts, Duke, we have Justice Winslow, Duke. That's a lot of Duke players, and they're all pretty darn good. So.
Yeah, Josh Richardson is not a guy I knew a lot about before this year, but he's a really useful player.
Yeah, he's going to be good.
They just have a lot of pieces. Also, Amari Stoudemire's on this team.
Yes.
And if you don't ask him to do too much, he's still a very useful basketball player.
Yeah, he dunked on Spencer Hawes, I want to say. Or no, just kidding. Cody Zeller dunked on Cody Zeller pretty nicely.
I was going to say, I think you and I could probably both dunk on Spencer Hawes.
We also just signed Darrell Wright from China, who managed to score 12 points in a minute and a half in the game, so that was pleasant.
He was on the Warriors recently.
Yeah.
Like, not their championship team last year, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. Then he went to China.
But he was on the team that made some noise in that playoffs, like the coming out party for the Warriors. He was a very useful player on that team.
Yeah, so. I think if Miami gives him a chance, he's going to bring some good things. But yeah, I mean, I like Miami a lot. if they play the way they did in Game 1, I could definitely see them in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, my money's still on Cleveland out of the East,
Right.
but if you asked me to pick a second choice, it would definitely be Miami.
Yeah, I agree. So with that, that's our Heat breakdown for the week, and we're going to get into some NBA awards, our choices, and then for the Defensive Player of the Year and Sixth Man, those have already been voted on, so we'll discuss that a little bit. But we're going to start with the most important, which is the MVP. So I think I know the answer to this, Jonah, but who's your MVP?
Well, I think maybe we should go through like our top 5 ballots for MVP, just because we all know that we're both picking Steph Curry for MVP.
Yeah,
and you'd be
that's
crazy
fine.
to pick anybody else.
Sure.
You know.
So
yeah, obviously
go ahead.
Steph is first on my ballot.
Yeah, I agree, and I would have him unanimous. I don't know about you.
I think he should be unanimous. There's probably going to be some guy who's going to
someone that wants attention is going to take it away from Steph.
be controversial, right? Because the award votes are public now, so you can see who voted for him.
Yeah, and so the reason it's important is because Steph would be the first unanimous MVP ever.
There's never been a unanimous MVP, not even an MJ one.
No, as far as I understand from what ESPN tells me, there has not.
Yeah, I mean he averaged 30.7 assists and 5 rebounds a game.
Yeah, on the team that set a record for most wins, like how could you get any better?
He shot 50% from the field, 45% from 3, hitting 5 per game, and 91% from the line.
Yeah, so another one of those 90, 50, 40 guys.
Yeah, just one of those. Well, right, but this is 50, 45, 90.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
Yeah, also the 45 should be like 75 because he only made 402 of them, so he took 300 more than most people would ever make.
Right, exactly. It's crazy.
So then, who would you have for number 2?
I've thought a bunch about this for second place. I'm gonna go with Kawhi Leonard because he shot 44% from 3, had 21 and 7, and was the best defensive player probably in the league. You can make an argument, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I think Kawhi Leonard's got to be second.
So then you would have LeBron third?
Yeah, I would put LeBron third for sure.
All right.
The reason I put LeBron behind Kawhi is LeBron was obviously the Cavs would not be where they are without him, but he's been such a poor teammate this year.
Yeah.
I feel like that counts for something. I don't know.
Yeah. I have LeBron 2 and then Kawhi 3, but I mean, in my mind they're in a dead heat. This is Kawhi's best year by far. There's no questions asked. He's taking pull-up jumpers and hitting them consistently, something I've never seen him do before. He's turning into a silent assassin, just making the biggest shots in the biggest games all the time. But LeBron is also having the best season he's had maybe ever. He has a dysfunctional team into the playoffs as the 1 seed, should be in the finals again. That says something. I know he's most of the reason for the dysfunction, but still. But yeah, those are very close. That's the race for second for sure, and I would be interested to see who they're going to vote for.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's remarkable that the big knock on Kawhi coming out of school was that he couldn't shoot, and he just worked his ass off, and now he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the game. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think he finished in second, behind Redick, or maybe third behind Curry and Redick.
Yeah, he ended up behind Curry, but
Gotcha.
I think he ended up third, which is obviously pretty impressive.
Yeah, behind 2 of the best shooters in the NBA history.
Right.
So then, 4th and 5th, do you want to go into that?
Yeah, sure. I think 4th on my ballot, I would put Chris Paul.
Me as
actually. I think this Clippers team has been through a lot this season. Obviously, with the Blake Griffin injury and all the off-court stuff surrounding Blake, they had to totally restructure their lineup, and Chris Paul has been the constant throughout that. He's been just the architect of that team the whole season, and pretty much on his shoulders they got to 4th in the West, which is pretty impressive. So I think in terms of most valuable, I mean, I'm not sure if he's necessarily better than every other guy besides the top 3, but he was certainly the most valuable to his team besides those guys.
Yeah, I have Chris Paul as 4 too. I mean, if you take him off the Clippers, they might at best be like a 7 seed. He does so much for that team that people don't know about. He's an amazing defender. He gives Steph and Russ a hard time whenever they play him. He every time I watch him, I feel like he gets 25 and 10 or 25 and 15. It's kind of ridiculous how well he gets his teammates involved. He fits perfectly with that team. He's the leader of the team, and they would not be where they are without him. And then 5, I'm going to go slightly off the board here. You might actually do the same thing, knowing you, but I'm going to go Damian Lillard, just because he's the only starter remaining on a Portland team that's the 5 seed in the West from last year, and somehow they're in the playoffs when people thought they would be a lottery, like top 5 draft pick this year.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick. I like that a lot. My let's say my runner-ups with the spot that didn't make the top 5 ballot would be Damian Lillard. Both of the Oklahoma City guys, Durant and Westbrook, were close. I just think it's hard to say that one of them is the most valuable when they're both on the same team. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm going for number 5 on my ballot with Draymond Green.
Okay.
I think that he's been like the heart and soul of that team, even though Curry's been by far the best player.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I think that the Warriors wouldn't operate in anywhere near the same way without Draymond Green, and you couldn't just put a normal stretch 4 type guy in his spot because it just wouldn't work with it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
He's an animal on defense. He's improved his offense significantly. I mean, he averaged for the season 14 points, 9.5 rebounds, 7.4 assists, and 1.4 blocks, all while shooting 39% from 3.
For a power forward that plays point guard a lot of the time.
Yeah, he averaged 7 assists per game as a 6'7" power forward. So he's undersized for his position.
Not to mention
he's
he guards
oversized to distribute. He just does everything.
Yeah, and while he's averaging those incredible stats, he also takes on the toughest defensive matchup every single night. So
yeah.
And we'll get to that in 2 minutes probably, but also a good candidate for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, so I'm going with Draymond 5th on my ballot with big apologies to Katie and Russ.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go Russ for sure.
Yeah, I thought about Russ. I probably would have put KD above Russ. Probably my ballot would have been Durant 6th, Westbrook 7th.
And then Lillard 8.
And then Lillard probably 8th, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of already over. It's been over since probably the All-Star break.
Yeah, it's really just a question of whether it's going to be unanimous.
Yeah. And then it's the race for second. So good luck to Kawhi and LeBron. See who gets that one. I would like to see Kawhi get it, actually. That'd be nice for him to get some more recognition because he deserves it for sure.
I actually bet it will be Kawhi just because I think, people might even overreact to the LeBron chemistry stuff.
Yeah.
And just the media might buy into that narrative and just drop LeBron down to 3rd.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So let's go to most improved now. You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, so I think, I don't know, there's a couple different ways you can spin this award. This is an award that's kind of tough to pick just because, there's a few different ways you could go. You could go with, the second-year guy who just got a lot more playing time and so is obviously looking a lot better. You can go with, the role player who transitioned into a bigger role and did really well in it, or you could go with the guy who was already a star who raised his game to another level. So, there's an argument to be made for Steph Curry for most improved player. I'm not going to be the one to make it because I don't I don't really think that's like the spirit of this award. I think it's more like the first two kind of categories.
Yep.
And that's how I'll vote it. So I think there's been a lot of consensus around this. The media's already kind of handed it to one guy, and I'm going to agree with them. I'm going to go with CJ McCollum for most improved. He got into a much bigger role with the Portland team this season that lost 4 of its 5 starters, and he's been almost as important as Damian Lillard in the season. He's averaging 21 points a game, which people thought he'd be good out of college, but people didn't think he'd be this sharpshooter. I mean, he's shooting 42% from 3. So yeah, I'm gonna go with CJ McCollum for most improved.
Yeah, I actually just read an article in the Players Tribune about CJ McCollum, talking about "I'll help you, Jonah." His Lehigh victory over Duke. You're welcome. I mentioned it. This is the 3rd week in a row we've talked about freaking Lehigh beating Duke, but whatever.
I know. I was gonna wait this time. It was gonna be nice, but if you're gonna bring it up, that's fine.
So Lehigh was a 15 seed and Duke was a 2, and McCollum was a senior, I think. And he was walking after Selection Sunday. It was Monday morning. He was going to class, and he saw his neighbor, who was a women's basketball player at Lehigh, and he said, "What's up? Do you see that we drew Duke?" And she was like, "Yeah, I did." And he was like, "We're going to beat him." And she just laughed and was like, "Here, can you give Austin Rivers my phone number?" And that pissed him off beyond belief. So he goes to his team and his coaches, and he's like, "Listen, if I get 30 and 5, we're going to win." So everyone's like, "Okay, like whatever, good luck. Let's just go out and play, see if we can beat him." He drops 30 and 6, one better than he said. Comes back, tells the girl, "Sorry, I didn't get Austin's number, but here's mine." And then you know the story from there. But I mean, he's just an incredibly confident kid. Knows what he needs to do, does it, and has gotten so much better, which is why I like the pick. But if you're literally looking at who's the most improved player, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's Steph Curry.
Yeah, I thought about doing that.
I mean, I like what you said about how that's not the spirit of the award, and I kind of agree with that. I think McCollum should get it because he's taken leaps and bounds from last year. But Steph Curry went from winning the MVP, winning the NBA Finals, and potentially just became the best player in the NBA, which I think he has become. And his game has gotten so much better. Like Jonah said, he's averaging 30 points a game. I haven't seen that in a very long time.
Yeah, Durant did it a couple years back, but it was like this season was like transcendent.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was just a really good scoring season.
Exactly.
It's like, oh my goodness.
And I mean, he's developing such great ball handling skills. He's getting other people involved. He knows when to take over, when he doesn't really need to be like pushing the issue. So I don't know.
He can really finish at the rim like he didn't used to do.
Yeah, he's taking on Kyrie Irving's skills of ball handling and finishing at the rim, and then you add to it the best jump shot in NBA history, and you have a deadly combination.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a fair argument too. Like, I think we're almost picking 2 different kind of awards there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I'm certainly not going to disagree with that pick. It's just like interpreting the award in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I hope CJ McCollum wins it because he deserves it. But there's a very large argument to be made for Steph Curry, and I wouldn't mind seeing him be like 2nd place in that voting.
One note about the CJ McCollum Austin Rivers story: they're playing each other in the playoffs this year.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think of that.
And so. Right, and McCollum is like the better NBA player, so that shows that girl from Lehigh.
Yeah.
What's good?
It's true. She's probably kicking herself, but it's alright.
Yeah, maybe CJ can say, "Well, yeah, I can get you Austin's number, but like,
you want mine first.
You want that, right?"
So we'll go to Defensive Player of the Year now, which has already been voted on. Kawhi Leonard is your 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Draymond Green finished 2nd, and Hassan Whiteside finished 3rd. Really was a 2-horse race, even though I think Hassan Whiteside should have got a little bit more credit than he got. I'm still going to go with Kawhi here. It's been a while since I've seen a defender as good as Kawhi Leonard. If you saw when they played the Grizzlies, Lance Stevenson literally wanted to retire from basketball because Kawhi Leonard just shut him down so much.
Yeah, Right, yeah, that was a great clip last night. He was just so frustrated. He was like visibly frustrated. He was like, I can't even move without him.
Yeah, he made about 4 or 5 jump cuts, V cuts, and then threw his hands up in the air and stood in the corner for the rest of the shot clock because he didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, Lance was doing some stuff that could like get away from most guys. Lance is like a talented player, but like the thing was like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm also gonna go with Kawhi. He's like a mirror on defense. Like if you watch him, like even off the ball, just like guarding somebody like he did with Lance Stevenson last night, like you can see like any move that the offensive player makes, he just completely mirrors it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and then now you're adding to that his offensive game, and this kid is incredible. But Draymond Green also should get a lot of credit. Like I said, he guards the best player almost every game, and at 6'7", he probably weighs 260, 270, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Draymond is like one of the best defensive players I've seen in a long time. He has a totally different style from Kawhi is the thing.
Yeah, it's hard to compare that, but
so like I don't know. Draymond is like more visibly a great defensive player because he's like an animal. He's like diving into lanes and whatever. And, like, he's like diving all over the court and stuff. I'm always afraid he's gonna get injured. Like he's like more of a all-out guy. Like Leonard is more understated,
right?
But like he's still better just because like he sees every offensive play like 3 steps ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then Whiteside, I think he's averaging. I know it's not exactly 4, but it's relatively close to 4 blocks, plus or minus 0.2 or 3 probably.
3.7.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, 3.7 blocks a game is a lot of blocks a game. If you ever watch a Heat game, anytime someone goes into the lane, I can almost guarantee the ball's gonna hit the front of the rim if it doesn't get blocked when Hassan's in the game. Just like I saw, Kemba Walker was short on about 5 or 6 layups just because Hassan Whiteside was affecting shots. And Miami has hung their head on defense a lot this year, and he's been the main reason. He's averaging 14 points, 12 rebounds, and let's just give him 4 blocks. So, and his player efficiency rating is 25.69. So, I mean, that's a pretty remarkable season.
Right, and it's not just like the shots he blocks, like just the fact that like he's a presence in the paint like changes the way other teams play.
Absolutely.
And that's true with any great shot blocker. It's true with DeAndre Jordan. It's true with Rudy Gobert for the Jazz.
Yep.
But obviously, Hassan Whiteside's like the most prolific shot blocker in the league right now.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
He certainly deserves some credit on the Defensive Player of the Year ballot.
I think they got it right though, having Kawhi 1, Green 2, and Whiteside 3.
No, yeah, I tend to give precedence to perimeter defenders just because they're usually like guarding the other team's best guy. So I would tend to vote for a perimeter guy over a big man.
Yeah.
For Defensive Player of the Year, all things created equal.
Definitely. So then we'll go to Rookie of the Year. I think this was probably behind Steph Curry winning MVP. This is probably the easiest vote of them all.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns is going to run away with this one. I guess the race for second would be between Porzingis and Okafor, but I don't even know that that's a race really.
Oh yeah, I think Porzingis is definitely second. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Knicks fan and be my one moment of glory in this podcast. But yeah, if we just talk about Towns for a second, I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast and they were talking about Karl Anthony Towns and some of the different stats he was averaging. Like he's averaging 18 and 11, almost 2 blocks per game, and there was like a certain combination of stats that he had where the only people to have done the same in their rookie season were Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal, and Chris Webber, which, like, if your worst case scenario is Chris Webber, then you're going to be a pretty good basketball player.
Yes.
I mean, he's also like a prototype center, and he can shoot too. I mean, like, he's 7 foot even, and he's shooting 54% from the field. And if he develops like a Kevin Garnett style mid-range game, which is not out of the question with Kevin Garnett actually there in Minnesota to help him, I think he could turn into one of the top 10 players in the league pretty soon.
Alright, so in college, to me, he was just a back to the basket, like, back you down and make one move and score. He seems like he's developed the craziest athleticism. Like, he's going coast to coast and dunking it all over people this year. Like, I never saw anything that was even similar to that at Kentucky, and now it seems like, I mean, you can tell he lost some weight and put on a lot of muscle, and he just seems so athletic now.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think that, I don't know, like, I would have picked him first if I was Minnesota. I had him first on my board, but I wasn't expecting anything like this.
Yeah, I was, before the year started, I was going to pick Okafor as the Rookie of the Year. A little bit of bias, but also because I think he was better than Karl Anthony Towns, and Karl Anthony Towns has shut my mouth very fast.
Well, you know who I wasn't going to pick is Kristaps Porzingis.
Yes, I also was not.
When the Knicks picked him. I texted you on draft night. I was like, we picked him. I knew we were going to do it. I knew we were going to pick him. I was so mad.
Yeah, you basically looked at that as like an attempt to throw the organization away.
Yeah, there was that shot of like the kid in the stands crying in the Knicks jersey. Like, people were so bad. And now, like, I think he was certainly the second best player this season out of that draft.
He did fall off a little bit towards the end, though. He
did, but he averaged 1.9 blocks a game, 14.7 rebounds. He can really shoot. He's like a 7'3" stretch 4, which is like such an asset.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, the problem is if we keep Kurt Rambis as coach, like, that would be just the worst thing that the Knicks have ever done out of a long list of things the Knicks have done that are bad. Because what Rambis was doing was he was using Porzingis, like, bring the ball up sometimes and, like, doing some weird, like, point forward stuff with him.
Trying to turn him into Draymond Green.
Right. That's not... He's a modern NBA center. That's what Porzingis is. He can block shots, shoot. He's 7'3". Like, he's the prototype stretch 5. Like, that's what he is. That's what you need to use him as. Like,
yeah.
It's so obvious. And then Rambis is, like, trying all this different stuff, like trying to be like the genius that like figured out this one. Like, just don't. He's a stretch 5, and he's awesome at it. Just put him there. Put him in the paint and like have him run around and set screens. Like, they're not going to be able to sag off him on screens because he can shoot. Like, he's just. I can't understand why they're using him so poorly. I mean, I guess I can because Kurt Rambis is a terrible coach.
And because it's the Knicks and Dolan knows nothing about sports and Phil Jackson
see
doesn't
how angry
have.
This makes me. It's like this. It's right in front of you. Just yeah. Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, he's good. I don't want to make you any more upset, so we'll go to the Coach of the Year now, which surprisingly is not going to be Kurt Rambis. I know it might come as a shock, but.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be Derek Fisher either. The Knicks are going to be shut out of the award, I think.
Let's just make it Phil Jackson while we're at it.
Oh, God.
So, Coach of the Year, I'm going to go Terry Stotts. I don't know how. I mean, there's so many options. Steve Kerr, Popovich, Brad Stevens, the list goes on. But a team that should not be anywhere near the playoffs is the 5 seed in the playoffs and actually has a legitimate chance to win a series. That's really all that needs to be said about that one for me.
Yeah, I think Terry Stotts is certainly he'd be on my top 3 ballot. This is a year where there's so many choices.
Yeah.
And I think I'm probably going to go with Brad Stevens just because in terms of watching games, he seems like one of the best in-game coaches in the league right now.
Yep.
Just in terms of play calling and stuff. And I don't know, if you watch a Celtics game, like they clawed back against the Heat in the season finale. They almost came back from a big deficit against Atlanta in Game 1. And that's because when he calls a timeout and draws up an out of bounds play, the Celtics score 80% of the time. If you watch those plays, this isn't a team with a ton of insane talent. Isaiah Thomas is a great scorer, no doubt, but he's put a lot of pieces together into a real team, and obviously his out of bounds play calling is totally unmatched. It's just crazy. When they said out of bounds play, I'm well, this is going to be a 3 for Evan Turner or whoever. And so I've been very impressed with the job Brad Stevens has done in Boston. Obviously, Terry Stott's a great choice. Popovich will be on my ballot every single year, so I'll put him 3rd just because he's the best coach in the league.
So you're about to have Steve Kerr, who just set a record for NBA wins, not even on the ballot technically.
Well, that's my. Well, hold on. Here's my rationalization for that. Is
Luke Walton?
He coached barely half of the season.
I know, but still, he won a lot of games.
Look, it's making it easier for me to discuss my ballot. It's the rationalization I'm giving.
Let's just say that there's 4 coaches, all of which should win this award, but they happen to be coaching during a year. There's 4 coaches that are incredibly deserving. So any of the 4 that we mentioned, if they win, there's no argument from us.
All right. The thing is, if Steve Kerr wins the award, does he have to share it with Luke Walton?
Well,
I'm not gonna feel good about that.
Technically, Luke Walton didn't get a single one of those wins credited to him because he was just filling Steve Kerr's shoes. So I don't know. But
right, Steve Kerr was still the coach of the team.
Yeah, but they're all the incredibly amazing coaches and very deserving. So
yeah, obviously, I would shout out Steve Clifford from the Hornets too.
And
great coaching job by
And
him.
what's his? I don't even know how to say his last name. Yorger from Memphis.
Yeah, Dave Yeager from Memphis.
Yeager, yeah.
Obviously, also way up there because this Memphis team, once they lost Marc Gasol and Mike Conley, this team had no business being in the playoffs. If you look at who's on the court, they had 28 different guys suit up for them this season.
Yeah, it's atrocious.
And it's incredible that he even got them to the 7th seed. If they get swept by San Antonio, that doesn't diminish anything about this coach's job.
There's a lot of good coaches this year.
Yeah, so I wouldn't really have an argument if you voted for any of 7 different guys.
Yeah.
But, I'm going with Brad Stevens, but obviously there could be an argument made for a lot of people.
Definitely. So then we'll go to the last award, 6th man. This has also been voted on. Jamal Crawford won. I think he's the first player to ever win it 3 times. And in my opinion, he's very deserving. There's never really been a 6th man that is as impactful as Jamal Crawford.
So he'd be first on your ballot? This is the 3rd time he's won it, by the way.
Yeah, he'd be first, and I think, I guess Andre Iguodala would be 2nd for me, and then Will Barton would be 3rd.
I would probably put Iguodala first, just because I kind of want to reward this Warriors team in any possible way.
Yeah.
Which I guess if I really want to do that, I would have voted for Steve Kerr, but I'm gonna go with Iguodala just because in terms of what they do on defense, it's not even close. Iguodala is way better than Jamal Crawford on defense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean Jamal Crawford's certainly deserving. He's won it before. He's obviously the shot in the arm they get off the bench. But I think Iguodala deserves this award just for all the different things he does. He might not do any single thing as well as Jamal Crawford scores, but he does a lot of things really well.
Yeah, no, he's probably the 3rd or 4th most important person on that team, so.
I mean, I'd probably put him behind Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and then it'd be him, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And Livingston's up there. You can honestly make an argument that Livingston could be a 6th man as well.
Oh yeah, I would consider putting Livingston 3rd on my ballot. Just going Iguodala, Crawford, Livingston. Just put 2 Warriors on the ballot.
Yeah, that just shows you how amazing their bench is. The team's ridiculous, but
I would be shocked if the Warriors don't win the title.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, barring injury, I don't know. I mean, I know Steph didn't play last night, but it doesn't seem like a serious problem. It's just like, why would you risk anything playing him against the Rockets at home?
Yes.
Like, just don't play him.
Exactly.
Like, give him a few extra days off. You're not going to lose the game. Just be careful.
Even if they did lose it, worst case scenario, it'll be the Rockets in 5 or 6. It's not like they're going to have to sweat the series out.
No, they're not going to have to sweat the series out. That's for damn sure.
So, those are our NBA awards for the year. As we said, Kawhi already won Defensive Player of the Year, and Jamal won Sixth Man. We'll figure out the rest of them. I think it's probably going to be Steph MVP, obviously. Anthony Towns is definitely going to win Rookie of the Year, and then the rest are up for grabs.
Yeah. I think Coach of the Year will either be Steve Kerr or Stotts, depending on which way the voters decide to go with it. I think Stotts is like the most traditional candidate, which is just like team that wasn't expected to make the playoffs makes the playoffs.
Right.
Or just team that outperforms our expectations significantly. That's how Mike Budenholzer won for Atlanta last year. But like, and he's still a good coach too. Like, it wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
Eric Spoelstra could be mentioned in there too.
Yeah, right. I mean, my stance is just like always put Popovich on the ballot because he just, I think, is objectively the best coach.
Yeah.
But, like,
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then we're gonna discuss something I mentioned earlier. Kobe, as we all know, went out with a bang last week. Dropped 60 or 50, sorry. No, 60, right?
60,
yeah, 60. So, what a way for Kobe to go out in such a Kobe fashion.
Right. I mean, the thing is, like, he took 50 shots. That's the 50 number you're thinking of. Which nobody's taken 50 shots in a game in the last 50 years. That's a confirmed stat. And I mean, obviously I don't think Utah was playing at their best, not necessarily because they were letting Kobe win, but just because the game didn't matter to them. They were out of the playoffs.
Right.
The refs were pretty lenient. Like, there were a couple of plays where Kobe just pushed off Gordon Hayward to get the inbound pass.
Yeah.
Some of those screens by Julius Randle, he was like blatantly walking and screening at the same time. But I'm totally okay with all of that. Like that game was the most Kobe game in the history of Kobe's career, and it was fitting that his career ended out in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really care about... Basically, everything was done so that Kobe could have the best game possible. But you still have to make the shots. You still have to score 60 points. I mean, how many other 37-year-olds are going to drop 60 in a game? Probably not many.
Right. I don't know. Like, even if they do shoot 50 times, most people that age are not scoring 60 even on 50 shots.
Yeah.
So I'm still impressed by it. And obviously, just a fitting into Kobe's career, a great career. Somebody that we're going to remember for a long time. He's the closest we ever got to Michael Jordan.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, go ahead.
Well, like, just in terms, like, obviously he's not the best player other than, like, he's not the best player since Michael, but he's the most similar player since Michael.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the most killer instinct and, like, just going to take over and cut your throat out in the middle of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, with discussing Kobe's legacy, we're going to argue, probably agree, on whether or not Kobe is in the top 10 of all-time NBA players. So what do you think, Jonah?
I think it's hard to say. I don't know if I put him in my top 10.
Yeah, so there's just...
Definitely in my top 15.
Right, yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to judge players from different eras of basketball. That's the problem.
And different positions and stuff like that, too.
Right. I mean, like, could Kobe... I don't know. Could peak Kobe have beaten peak, Jerry West in a one-on-one? Like, yeah. But it was like a different era, so I don't know if you can say, like, that Kobe's necessarily better than Jerry West because of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I made like a little tiny list of players that I would probably have ahead of Kobe, and I got 11, so that would put Kobe as my 12th, but I have Shaq, and this is in no order, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, Magic, Larry, Oscar, Kareem, Wilt, Bill Russell, Jerry West, and then I'd actually have LeBron ahead of Kobe already.
I would have LeBron ahead of Kobe also. I'm not sure if I'd have Shaq ahead of Kobe though.
Really?
I mean,
dude, I have Shaq. I have Shaq in like my top 6.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think my top 5 very clearly is Jordan, Bill Russell, Kareem, Magic, and Larry Bird. I think that's my top 5 pretty clearly. But then once you get like the 6 through 10 spots can go a lot of different ways. I guess looking at a list, I'd probably put Kobe probably 10th. Is probably where I'd have him. Because I'm probably putting Wilt ahead of him. I'm putting Tim Duncan ahead of him. Yeah, I guess I'd put Shaq ahead of him.
The only reason I think Shaq belongs is because he was the most dominant player that I've seen, and he was just a force that you, no matter what you did, you couldn't stop unless you put him on the free throw line.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a factor, though.
I know, but still, I mean, take Shaq off of Kobe's team, and Kobe probably has 2 rings.
Yeah, well, Kobe for his career averaged 25, 5, and 5, 45% from the field, 33% from 3. Shaq shot 58% from the field, but only 53% from the line.
So, well, I mean, Kobe is a volume shooter, and he needs to be in a rhythm in order to score well and play well. And yes, he scores a lot, but I don't know that he helped his team in ways other than scoring when Shaq was just an absolute dominant force, and when he was playing in the game, you wanted nothing to do with him.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, looking at Kobe's career stats, like, and the guys around him, like, his stats other than points are lower than the other guys. Like,
much lower.
He didn't rebound or assist as much as Jerry West did. Certainly not as much as Magic did. I mean, I put Tim Duncan probably ahead of Shaq. I think he's the best big man outside of Russell, Kareem, Wilt. Like, outside of those guys, I think Duncan's probably the best ever.
Yeah, I would have Shaq and Duncan like 6, 7. I don't know who would be 6 or who would be 7, but they're close in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, Kobe's right around 10 in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I have him like just barely outside top 10. Like, he could go 10, 11, 12 for me, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could put him anywhere from like 9 to 14, and I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
I think there's certainly, like, I can just think of probably 9 guys I like better than him. I don't know if I can think of 10. So, like, he's right around that top 10 line.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, he had an amazing career and went out with a bang, and it was very Kobe-esque of Kobe to play like that his last game. And that
was awesome to watch.
The funniest part of the whole game to me was after the game, he went up and gave Shaq a hug. And Shaq looked at him and said, "Dude, how the hell did you do that?" And he goes, "Big man, I have no freaking idea."
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was not, because, like, I don't know what the dynamic currently is between Shaq and Kobe. Like,
yeah.
I think it's like grudging respect.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've sort of gotten over their grudges, but there's still a little distaste between the two.
Yeah, they're totally different people.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Jordan would have clashed with Shaq in the same way Kobe did.
Yeah. But that's also because Kobe and Michael Jordan are very similar people.
Right. Right, yeah, the most similar that we've had to.
Like Shaq, LeBron, Shaq, Wade, they got along very well, and you saw that with the rings.
Right. It's just like, because those guys aren't killers like Michael Jordan, which isn't anything against him, like nobody ever was.
Yeah, it's more because Kobe needed the ball and wanted the ball, and so did Shaq. But like when he played with LeBron and when he played with Wade, that wasn't necessarily what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Right? Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'd put Shaq ahead of Kobe, but Like, if you told Kobe that, he'd go out and play 3 more seasons to make
Well,
sure he's better than
Shaq also said that Kobe was the best Laker of all time, which, I mean, that's putting him ahead of Kareem, ahead of Jerry West, ahead of himself,
Ahead of Magic.
Magic. Yeah, that's a lot of very good players, but
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the 3rd or 4th best Laker of all
yeah,
time.
I would agree with that. All right, so you got anything else on Kobe, or you want to wrap it up?
I think that's good on Kobe. Obviously, awesome career for Kobe. He was like a transcendent basketball player in a way that nobody other than LeBron and possibly Steph has been in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I mean, he did a lot for the game, and as you can see by all the Nike commercials, a lot of people thank him for that, and we're definitely 2 of those people. But it was the end of an era, and now we have LeBron and Steph. Hopefully, you're going to carry the torch and make it a little bit brighter.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So that's going to be the end of this week's show. Next week, as you guys probably know, the NFL draft is in 9 days from today. So next week's show is going to be basically all NFL draft. We'll throw in a little bit of update on NBA and NHL playoffs, and probably pick our AFC division winners. I know we've been saying that for a couple weeks now, but next week we'll talk all about NFL, so that's probably the time.
Next week we'll have plenty of time to do that for sure.
All right, perfect. So that's that, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you next week. Thank you.